Hello, everybody. We're going to try this again. We're having some technical difficulties. Welcome to another installment of Energy Intersects. So this is where me and my co-host Lauren Armstrong jam out on human design, energy, psychology, mental wellness, and today, business. How's it get better than that? Crest? Awesome. We're good to go now, so we'll just get started in a moment. Thanks for all your patience. We had some of that Mercury retrograde business.
Oh my gosh, hi.
Hi.
Intro sounds so polished.
God, we're very professional here. It's very serious business.
So professional.
Okay, so we're updated, we're ready to go. So
We're
this is gonna be like short and furious today, but we are gonna like be super impactful, I sense, with like gems of business and energy.
I think so too, especially because you have been talking so much about having a relationship with and communicating with your business and asking it questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that alone is a very like mind-boggling, sort of like mind-expanding thing to think about. Like, oh, my business isn't me.
Yeah. I was getting something where it's like, it's not me, and it's also this complete reflection of me.
Mm-hmm. And it's like something that you're in a relationship with.
Yes. Whether you like it or not.
Yeah. And you birthed it. It's like a creation of yours. And
Yeah. So is it like a child? It's a different energy than that, though, I get.
Yeah. It's not necessarily like a parent-child thing. It's like an adult child.
It is.
You can be friends with.
Yes. Yeah. So I've been talking about communicating with your business, asking questions, and really not needing to even make decisions, in the sense that you can just tap into the energy and communicate with it like someone on your team, basically. So we'll talk more about that. And I also want to know about, like, I think you said it yesterday on your stories, like your business has its own human design chart. I was like, come say what? Like, how do I know? I need to know the design of my business immediately, if not yesterday. Okay.
The whole rabbit hole we're about to go down. Are you ready? So what's really fun about this is, one, we're not going to overcomplicate it, right? We're going to let this be like fun, easy, playful thing that we get to like tap into and see if it feels good and aligned. And we start going into like this place of like, well, what about this? And what about this? And I don't know. And then we're like in this judgment assumption place that's not like this fun question land. So like, let's put that hat on for context. But just like you were saying, it's like being in a relationship with a friend or like having a coworker or an employee. What does it look like if all of those people would have a design, right? They'd have. So what does it look like for your business to also have its own design?
So how do we figure this out? How do we, like, because I'm like, well, I think I know when it started, but maybe it started a week later. I don't know. How do we figure this out?
Yeah. So I think what's fun about this is like, let it be super intuitive and playful. So I did an episode a couple weeks ago around authority, right? Like your human design authority, decision-making strategy. So what could it look like for you to tap into your decision-making strategy and saying, okay, I know the answer, how I make decisions. So for you, you're a sacral authority. Right. So your business, if you're a sacral authority, I would ask yourself, okay, when was it birthed? Right? Because birthday is not when they were conceived. Like, it's not when I had the idea necessarily. Although if that feels like it's correct for you, you could pick that date as well. But it's like, when was it birthed? When did you launch your first thing? When did you collect your first dollar? When did you start talking about it with friends and family? Like, what to you feels like the date that it like was conceived, like, or like birthed into the world? And that.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm getting, because at first I was going into like, well, in 2016, I had the idea for Kreft Couch and started, creating content, but that wasn't, as you were talking more, I'm like, that wasn't the actual birth of the business. The business happened probably like later, mid-January, whatever, last year, 2021, that I'm getting where I started like meeting with folks and like opened up one-on-ones. And that was like, because all of that then started happening really fast, create the LLC and blah, blah, email and all those things.
Yeah.
So.
So it could be like the date is, so for you, for a sacral, I'd be like, was it the date you filed your LLC?
No.
Was it the date you had your first client?
Yes.
Was the date you got your first payment?
No.
So see, do you see that? Do you feel the difference?
Yeah.
If those that are sacral that are watching me, like, oh, okay, tap into that energy. Like, what's correct? So the day you had your first client is the day, like the birthday of the business. So like you can look at, oh, when was it on my calendar? Like when was it all? And that is the birthday.
Yeah, and I want to clarify for folks what Lauren was just doing too by asking yes, no questions, because that is how you can tap into the energy with total ease, right? It wasn't like, what's the right date? What's the wrong date? It's just kind of intuitively for me what popped. And it can happen so fast that even as she was asking, as she was going to ask the second question, I didn't even know what it was. I just already knew that was the yes, because that's how fast the energy is. That's better than that.
I love it. I love it. And it's so expansive, right? And so for you as a sacral being, it's like, okay, I'm going to follow my authority and I'm going to make that decision. So for somebody, let's say that has an emotional authority, yeah. Oh, it's like, was it this time or was it this time? Give it a couple days and it'll land.
Yeah. Let it go.
I just come on back. I had to talk it out. I was like, okay, well, this is this and this and this is, and then as soon as I came up with the day, I was like, oh, this is where I was and this is exactly when it was born. And so then what you get to do is just pull a human design chart. Nothing special. It doesn't have to be like a business, just a person chart. Name your business, and put in the date and see what it is. And so what's really fun with that is then we get to actually look at it as a separate entity. This is the energy of my business and this is my energy. And so if you're having a relationship with your business, what we can do is look at your connection chart of where do you have energy? Where does your business have energy? How do you work with your business? Like, where do you need boundaries with your business? Because you're human, you need boundaries.
So good. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, well, I was like, wow, that's so much. So so what's your business type? Like your business type?
This is really fun. My business is a reflector.
I was going to say, I was like, I bet it's like super unique.
It's super fun.
1% of the population.
Yeah, right? And so my business is a reflector, which is really fun because when you look at the energy of it, so if you're like, what the heck is a reflector? A reflector has all undefined centers. So all of this body graph will be white. And so what that means is, from a business perspective, any area where you have a white or open or undefined center is where your energy is really holding space for people in that center and in that area. So you get to look at it of like, ooh, what is my business holding space for? And then you can look at the undefined centers and be like, oh, okay, for example, a lot of people that I've been working with lately have undefined G centers in their business profile, meaning that's all about identity, love, and direction. So their programs, their offerings, their business really has a lot of stuff around who are you? Where are you going? What do you love to do? And that's all undefined G, holding space for that energy.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's really fun to look at.
So have you then like literally cultivated offers and things like that based on kind of what the chart of the business is telling you?
Yeah. So my favorite thing to do if you don't want to go down into the nitty gritty and you're like, I'm new to this and like I'm already learning my own design, like this a lot, like which is it is, right? Like, and even I have a program that I've been running for like over a year, and we just started talking about the relationship with our business because we're so conditioned to be like others that if we're not fully in alignment ourselves, it's like, it's kind of just a distraction, but we're really handy is to say, okay, what relationship am I having with the business and where do I get to like draw and create boundaries there? But like the easy, like nitty gritty place that I would start if you're like, ooh, that seems overwhelming, but also fun for right this moment, I would play with the incarnation cross of your business.
I have no idea what that is.
I know. So
you're like a mad scientist with human design.
My like very good filter on my face. I didn't know you could do that on a live. I was like, oh my gosh, this is fabulous. So your incarnation cross, you have one as a human, like, so your incarnation soul's job description. It's the work you're here to do in the world. It's basically like your right? Like why are you here? Like, what are you here to do? And in whatever way you choose to do it, it's the energy or the essence of what your soul is here to do. So what does that look like for your business? What is the soul or the essence? What mission is the business here to accomplish? And how do you and your energy help serve that mission, and also who else you do need to bring on to help serve that mission.
Okay, I'm like getting something, not sure why this is popping, but money dropped in. So I was like, okay, like as you're getting clarity on the mission and whatnot, how does like the generation of revenue then kind of, how can you use the chart to do that?
Yeah, so it's kind of fun to look at. So for example, yesterday I was with a group of manifestors. All manifestors have undefined centers, and most of their business, like a majority of the population, including businesses, have different sacral centers, which are generative or manifesting generator energy, right? So for example, this kind of indirectly ties to money. It's not like, oh, here's where you're going to find the money, right?
Yeah, right.
But it's like, so the generative center of the business is like, I want more. I want to put out more. Talking about this more with someone's business was basically telling them that yesterday through their chart. We looked at guided meditation and it was like, oh, this is what it wants. It wants more, but I don't want to be the one to give it more. Like, what does this look like? Right. And so it was like, oh, there need to be offers, but does it look like if I'm not the one that has to be doing them? And so that creates space for, how it wants to generate money, is through more offers. But the owner is like, but that's not what I want to do. So where else can we bring that in? Does that?
Yeah, totally. Because I had this visual of like two people in a conference room, and it's like the business is one. It's like, well, I want more offers. The other person's that my plate is already full, and you know what I mean? Like having this conversation back.
Yeah, it's also really fun to look at, like from a relationship to the business perspective, from a money way. So when we're talking about just an individual, I like to say, from our definition, which is what we have consistent access to. We have consistent access to that energy. And so it becomes easy for us, right? So what a lot of people do is they're like, oh, I need to get better at this other thing. So therefore, when I get at it, I'm going to create this offer. And we just make it so much harder on ourselves, right? So creating from definition, but selling from openness, from undefined centers. So it's like holding space, looking at your chart, where do you both have defined centers? Where do you both have undefined centers?
Yeah, and so this is where I get like in what I teach folks is with question that you can get more clarity and access to this. Like, so if the business is saying, hey, I want more, and you go to conclusion like, I can't do more, my plate is full, like I don't want to do whatever. Yet if you were to ask a question of the business, like, hey, what do you want that to be? What does that look like? Who could be a contribution to this process? Right? That you are just kind of almost communing with it for either the information to like drop in right away, or later where someone like DMs you is like, hey, I'd really love to work in your business. You know what I mean? It's like, if we don't ask the questions, then we can't allow the invitation of possibilities to kind of commune with the business.
Yeah. And it's like, I love that you're sharing that, because the visual I almost got is like, when you don't, like when you're not allowing the question and you just kind of come into conclusion, it's like almost like selling your business, and you're like, but you're mine, and like no one else can talk to you, and no one else can touch you, and no one else can like see you. And so it's like, okay, well, like create some space there, like let it breathe, let it grow. Something. It's like a healthy relationship for like stifling it.
Oh my gosh, yes. And this is like kind of also how I like look at money. And I just kind of see that super related in the sense of like, we want to have this secure attachment style with money, like same with our business. Because what is the one thing that stops people from leaving their 9 to 5, taking the leap, is like the scarcity. Will the money continue to show up? Right. And so it's like, if we're able to have this secure relationship attachment style to the business, to money, that will change everything. I mean, I just even noticed in myself, like kind of the end of last year, I was in a lot of like need to on this like hamster wheel of create. And this is what's going to create the money. And at some point I was like, I cannot keep up this pace. So what else is possible? I am choosing to relax. Okay, business, show me how we can continue to create money. And it just continues to create money. And I'm like, someone's like, how'd that even happen? You know what I mean? Because I've like just been able to let it go.
Oh, so good. Well, I'm curious, like, how is this showing up for energy flows for CEO? Like, where is this?
Well, okay. So, you know, like anytime you create something, it like facilitates the shit out of you. So of course, like
you're like, oh, We're deeper into this next level. Cool.
Yeah. It's like anytime I create a class or a course or membership, whatever, it like, then that stuff definitely shows up. And so I just, it's presented with a lot of opportunities to just really tap into the energy more. And funny, I would say also in my personal life, because we were house shopping and moving and all that sort of stuff. And so I was able to like kind of utilize the same energy process and just continue to, I want to say trust, but it's something else. It's something more like this deep knowing and allowing things to show up and surprise you. Like, it's kind of like allowing, this new creation that I'm doing, Energy Flows for CEOs. Like, I have an idea, it's in mid creation, people are joining, and the energy of the people joining are going to create it ultimately. And so that's what I love, like, because it's just so exciting to kind of allow it to all come together like that, versus like, this is what it should be, this is what it has to be, this is what they need to know. It's like, no, I'm going to put information out there and then kind of see and respond, of course, to how the people are showing up.
Yeah, that almost gives me like, imagine being in a relationship with someone where all they did was tell you what to do.
Oh, yeah, so good. Yeah.
It's like, you would not want to hang around that person. You would not want to like grow with that person. You'd be like, get me the away from this. Like, I don't want to be, well, I don't like being controlled, but like, like most people would be like, oh my gosh, I don't like what's going on, versus being like, hey, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is going to be the major takeaway of this call, is the like secure attachment style. To me, is like seeing the business as its own entity, right? It has its own chart, it's its own being. And so what would it take for you to engage with it as if it were a good friend? You would let it go when it needed to, like give it some space. You would welcome it when the energy is more potent and making a request of you, asking you to do something, right? You'd also set limits probably and boundaries. So you would like come in and out of it just the same way we are in relation to each other.
Yeah. And I think that too, the whole, like when people are in the 9 to 5 and they're not willing to let that go, because it's like, oh, where does the money come from? It's like, oh, well, maybe look at that attachment. Like, where are you in an anxious attachment with your 9 to 5? Because it's like, oh, I got to be in it or else I'm not going to make any money. It's like, oh gosh, that's a lot of energy that's going towards that relationship that might not necessarily be serving you.
Yeah. And it's like the 9 to 5, it's kind of funny because then we feel like that is the stable, secure thing. Yet it's like, it's less so, because it's like the business is you and you are part of it, and like in the sense of the reflection of you. And it's like you are part of the creation of it, versus your 9 to 5. You don't have like the 9 to 5 could fold, or the boss could let you go, or like you have much less control, right? So it's this weird, odd sense that like that's more stable. And that really sticks people, I get.
Yeah. It's like if you have an undefined spleen, the splenic center, not on the right, but on the left side of your chart, the way that shows up is not being able to let go. It's like holding on to something for long, like past its expiration date. And so could really ask yourself, is like, has this expired? Like, is this toxic? Is this healthy? Like having those conversations with yourself. And it can really show up of like fear of the past repeating itself. Like when you take a risk before and it didn't necessarily pan out, and just managing the mind to just, if this isn't the same thing.
Yeah. And it's like this willingness to be able to follow the energy and pivot as it changes, right? Because it's like, you're like, no, it must be this thing. It's going to be this thing. And it's like, I've changed the names of my offers a million times. I've changed like the formats of them, right? Because it's just like, as I choose and then I get clarity, and I choose and I get clarity, and I sense it. It's like people get stopped up by needing more information, and then I'll choose. And it's like, no, when you're communing with the energy and you're putting things into creation, that's what's going to give you the most information.
Yeah, there's one time that I was working with you and we were talking about something that I had decided, like I had to do something. I had a retreat and it was going to be in Sedona, and like it was already decided, and I had vendors, and I was like, this is what's happening. And like every step of the way was so hard. But I was like, in my mind, I had decided, like, no, it was done. In conclusion, like, this is where it's going. And you like asked a very simple question: does it need to be there? I'm like, oh,
that's like the greatest. Yeah.
No, it doesn't need to be there, right? And so it like created and opened up and had that communication with all of that I could ask that specific offer. Even, do you desire to be where I said you were going to be? No, I want to go here. Oh, okay, cool. Let's go there. And so that gets to be like a really playful, open way instead of like holding on before without all the information.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So what are you inviting?
I want to know.
Oh, go ahead.
We're going to join this call and I'm like going to be so excited. What are you sharing today in your taster? Are you willing to share?
Gosh, yeah. So folks still have
talk about it. It's at 5 o'clock today.
It is, girl. You know it. You on it. 5 o'clock Eastern time. Link in my bio if you want to join the taster, just to give you like kind of a sample of what's going on. But really, I'm going to talk about kind of the major pillars of like what I teach folks between nervous system regulation, subconscious reprogramming, and energy fluency. So becoming the master of your intuition, because all these things are really imperative to facilitate folks to show up online, like feel comfortable enough to show up, to sell themselves, to create offers, to commune with their business, to ultimately just create ease in entrepreneurship, to create, just creating those 5-10K months with total ease. So I'm going to go through that and start to touch on using question and like what specific questions I use in my business, and house shopping that I just did recently. That was so fun. So definitely don't join it if it pings you.
Yeah, no, don't follow it.
What about you? What do you got going on?
I'm doing a super secret program. That's not super secret. I have been really working with projectors for a while and go deeper into that practice. So creating a business program for projectors called Projectify Your Business. And I'm just so excited. We're like in the birthing stages right now. So it's not quite birthed, but it's coming in June.
So this is something we got to talk about then, like next call maybe is like then, because I get specific offers probably also have charts.
They do.
Oh my God, so much.
It's so fun. And so if you have a specific offer, so like energy flows, if you want to look at that specific offer, when was it birthed?
Yeah. Okay.
Full chart. I could do this for you too, but then we look at the incarnation cross. So what is its mission and what is it? And then for each like line essentially of the mission of the incarnation cross, it basically becomes a journal prompt of where can we see this? What is trying to be birthed through this? What do people need to know about this so that they can join the mission as well? It like gets to be this love letter to your offer.
I love it.
Yay.
Okay. Oh my gosh, y'all. Thanks for joining us. We got a jet, but we'll be on soon again. See y'all next time. Bye.